their own thing. They wanted to keep track of everything. So then we're going to get the bag. At home, of course, you can put this right into a bowl, let it, just feed on it for about 10 minutes, and then you'll start to add the flour, okay? A lot of people make a mistake on putting too much flour in their bread. And so we're going to talk to you about that process and how you can avoid that. So we have the Prairie Gold flour. It's non-GMO. Okay, we won't get into what that means totally, but we're going to do 3 cups of that. I think on your recipe it states that. When you're making bread, you don't have to sift it like you would in maybe baking products or whatever. Then we have the gluten flour. It's that in the endosperm. It can just be a little scant, or you can leave it out if you don't want to use that. Okay. And this, after this, you're going to put 3 other items in. It's going to be your quick oats. If you prefer to have more nutritional value, you could just sort of pulse up your rolled oats. But we're going to put in 1/4 cup of the quick oats. And as I state to the class, when you get to be a little bit more seasoned bread maker, and just like when you're working with granola or other things, you know what kind of texture you're looking for. So if you have some mashed potatoes in the refrigerator, nut butter, whatever, you can replace some of these things. But I would, get it under your belt a little bit before you try some of those things, okay? Then I'm going to scoot over here. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of the Himalayan salt. The Himalayan pink salt it has more mineral value than the iodized table salt. We know maybe the importance of magnesium and how that enables water that you're drinking to get to your cellular level. So we won't go into much depth on that. But, okay, at this process, I will want you to zip your bag. What did I say? Zip your bag. We've had some accidents, okay? So we are just mixing that now. At this point, this is where you can become very... You're going to go over to the table here, your seeds, your nuts, whatever. And I would choose like maybe 4 variations on these things. You don't want to get so much where you're having a difficult time keeping that in the dough. I'm going to keep mine plain to make sweet rolls out of it, okay? This is the time when you would come over to this table and put the items in. Now, we want you to be more using your own judgment on this. So if you want a bread or whatever flavor of rosemary, maybe you want to use like 1.5 teaspoons, whatever, depending. You'll see the volume in there. This one is caraway seed. We probably should have marked that. I'm not sure at this point if we can. Is sesame seeds, okay? So you can basically smell them and get the idea, or look at some of them. This is carob powder. Carob powder is a chocolate substitute, and medicinally use it for nausea, diarrhea, but we put it in the bread to make it look chocolatey. So like I might use carob and walnuts and coconut and raisins. That's a nice combo. And maybe a couple tablespoons per loaf of bread, okay? This is, I believe, excuse my manners there. I believe that's garlic, and that's onions, dried onions, and like I said, turmeric. So like, yeah, if you wanted your dried tomatoes and with a little turmeric, onion powder, rosemary, I think that's a combination. Just again, be very creative. I think you'll enjoy the things that you come out with. Okay, so I have my bread together in the bag, and now you don't have to wait per se. You could actually have put this straight into the bag, because instant dry yeast, that's the way that they have made it, okay? But I'm just showing you this process. It's really not foaming up. I don't know why in particular, but I think we're just going to go with it. Yeah, it feels warm. So we're just, right. So this is the next process. And because people from different countries, they have different varieties of yeast, we just go through the old method, okay? Okay, so again, we are going to do zip our bag, thank you. Could you give me a little washcloth? Sticky right now. Okay, now at this point, I mean, that's going to do a little strange thing. Oh, globe. There is a reason for this. that texture to be on your dough. Okay, thank you. You might wash or rinse it. This is what I learned from Patty. Many people put too much flour in their bread. Now at this point, after I get the mix together, if I don't see it pulling away from the sides of the bag, or if you have a that's when you start a sufficient amount of flour, as it's on the side. If you still see some stickiness, you need to add a little bit more. Thank you. Okay, so I have my bag zipped. Problems here. I can, get that all mixed in, and then this is where I'm going to add my oil. We put it way over there because inevitably putting their oil in, the flour. Now, that might not be too much of a problem. When you're making pie crusts, when you're making crackers, that's when you put the oil in with the flour and it makes it sort of pebbly, and then you put the water in and you work that dough very little. You don't want it to be rubbery. You want it to be like crisp and stuff. But I want to see that this is dispersed before I go ahead and put the oil. Now, we will use 3 tablespoons of oil. The oil, as well as different methods when you're baking, this will make it so it's not crumbly flour. If you prefer, you could use tahini or nut butter, less processed, or you could use of applesauce. Okay, so I'm going to go over there and I'm going to add the 3 tablespoons of oil. Okay, now I'm assuming, because again you saw the texture of this and it's still sticky, I'm going to put a little flour in. But we found, I think the original recipe had 2.5 cups, but we found generally kind of flour, we needed the 3 cups, and you can see I'll need probably. So I'm going to go ahead with 3 tablespoons. I'll be a little scant here. Extra virgin olive oil. And maybe we could get a little maybe bowl that we could put that spoon into. Okay. And I'm going to wet my bag. Zip. Okay. All right. Okay, so you can see at this point, it is pulling away fairly well, but it's still going to be a little sticky, okay? Now, we are going to use these tables to knead on. The process of this is to knead your bread. Some people that are a little weak in their arms and stuff like that may use a electric mixer to develop the gluten, and then they add. Yes, like let's say if I'm understanding you correctly, that's when you have the bread maker, you let it knead out and shape. What you asking? The stand mixer with the hook. Okay. You just put it in now and then just let it. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you put everything generally, and then it mixes it together. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit more flour in before I knead, and I think I'm going to use the table there and show you. Everybody kneads a little bit differently. What I'm trying to do is develop the gluten. Okay, I think our bread making class on Monday, she's from Belize. Neat process that they use there, and maybe she'll do that for us when I get this started. So I'm going to take a little bowl, if I could, of flour. We should have gotten a few bowls over there that we can keep on the table. You see it's pulling away from the sides. There still is a certain amount of stickiness. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more flour. Not too much, it's maybe a 1/4 cup at a time. so that it's not overly dry. Okay. All right. So we are going to I want you to see this process before we start you with your aprons and so on. This is a nice clean table. Christine has gone to great effort to clean this for us. And I will put a little flour as soon as Flora can bring that over for me. And then we're just going to flour this, the kneading process, okay? Now, I didn't bring a nice pastry knife. Usually I have a pastry knife that I can get the rest of that off. But if you get any kind of dough on your hands, thank you. Or if you get dough still on the bag. Yes, Lisa. You can. Yeah, you could probably work it. Yeah, some people are sort of sensitive. They don't maybe like the feel of the dough or whatever. You could do that. Of course, you're going to be baking this too. So I'm just going to distribute some flour on there. And I will try to work this a little bit more before I take it out of the bag. Could you see if they have a pastry knife in the back? One of those flat metal things. Those are there's certain gas in the kitchen that are very nice to have. That makes it more convenient. Okay, it actually seemed like it got sticky to me. Oh my. Yeah, I don't know why that does it, but we'll work with it. Okay, and the key here is kneading it for at least 10 minutes. So when you come up, make sure we don't have a clock here, do we? Does anyone see a clock? You do? Okay. So time yourself, because you'll be kneading it and you'll think, oh, I've certainly done this. And you really only did it for 3 minutes. Okay? Help make a good rise on the bread. And this is why men tend to make good bread, because they get a little more power. We've got Leo here, some guys who can help you if you want. All right, I'm just going to stop at this point and just sort of give up on putting more flour in there. That's pretty sticky, okay? Generally, I wouldn't. But we want this class to move on. Okay, so I'm just going to sprinkle it with a little bit of flour. She's looking for a device for me. Maybe Judy's for the rescue there. Okay, and you can get your hand. You can see how I put that flour on there. Get it off perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll have these to help you if you need. But again, like if you want to get a little bit in the bag, that should. Okay, after I show you this process, that's when we're going to have you wash your hands, because we will be touching some of the similar things, although you're going to make your own bread. And after the kneading process, I'm going to show you how to make the rolls, and hopefully I can get your attention while doing your own bread. So you can see here how I'm just dusting the bread there with a little bit of flour. And Dawn, I don't know if you would consider washing your hands, and once I show them my process of kneading. This 10 minutes that I tell you, you can cut that back if you may be very vigorous, okay? So I just do this. This is what Patty taught me. Turn it 15 degrees, like counterclockwise, and then push. So turn, pull, and push. Turn, pull, and push. So you are developing that gluten. And if I still feel like it's sticky, I'll just dust it in. But again, not too much flour, okay? So I can keep on going. Now, if I get to the point where it's dry, I'm feeling like it's getting dry, and I don't have that earlobe texture, I'm going to stop putting flour in, and I'm going to put a little oil in this, okay? So we'll keep some oil over here too that you can use. So we're going to go through this process 10 minutes. Can someone remind me? I don't have a watch. What time is it right now? 7:08. Okay, so if I'm going to do 10 minutes, it's going to be 7:18. Okay. And if you have the knife, you can see you can just pick up that dough and make sure that you don't lose any of that valuable stuff there. Okay, so we got Don over here. All right. Go. You show him your way. Oh, flour. Isn't that neat?
Bring it back together.
Stretching it out. Or like washing. Have you ever washed clothes like that? Like that. And the Belician lady that I, she said, have you heard the pop, pop, pop? That indicates that you have sufficiently, so you don't have to maybe do it the 10 minutes, but I go in the old method. Very good. Thank you, Don. You got it? Okay, they got it on film there for you. Okay, so I'm going to continue. As you can see, now we have given you aprons. Did you all cover your apron? No? Okay. And we're going to have you put those on. Again, if you want to just run in the bathroom, hands, or we can, I guess you could use hand sanitizer if we have them. Do we have a hand sanitizer?